Hey everyone, today we're checking out a place called Grant Lake in Saskatchewan. This lake here, about a month ago, when passing by this area, it was completely dried up. I walked down to it this morning, and I'd say there's probably not even an area in here that we could find that's up to my knees. It's all very, very shallow. I'm starting to regret right now not bringing bug spray out here because I'm having a consistent amount of mosquitoes biting me. Just wanted to show this little thing here. So about a month ago, we passed through this area and we saw a sign saying beach. So we decided to go to the beach. We thought we'd get a place to swim, place to take a shower, and then we discovered it was a campground, so we stayed there for 2 nights. Now on the way home, we're staying here another 2 nights. The campground actually has a bigger lake that is about 5,500 acres. Its deepest spot is 12 feet, and yesterday that was cool. As someone who's 6 foot walking in the lake, once it got up to my neck, it stayed at my neck level. I walked for at least a half mile further into the lake. Never once did it get deeper. There was no wind at all last night. Right now there's a little bit of a breeze, so I don't think I can do it again. But I was out there up to my neck, perfectly still. If I started moving, I'd make waves super far away because I was the only movement. And there was a bunch of loons out there, and they were not afraid of just ahead. They were coming up near me. That was really, really cool. I've kayaked near them. I've swam near them before in Maine, but they're always afraid of me. Loons are pretty cool. It's like a really skinny duck, and it swims underwater to get fish. Yeah, right now I'm having the mosquitoes attack me. I'm regretting not showing this when it was sunnier earlier. Now that's the evening. The mosquitoes are everywhere. These ones are small and they stick you really fast. When I'm traveling, I realize there's different types of mosquitoes. The ones out in British Columbia, those ones are like the slowest ones ever. I have almost perfect accuracy smushing every single one that lands on me. These ones are fast. They're small, but I notice different mosquitoes are different. These ones here, they don't make me itch for more than a couple minutes, their bites. Some mosquitoes will make me itch for an hour or so. But this is cool, see the cracks here? This was completely dry. It's starting to fill back up. It looks like it might rain tonight, but this mud is super cool. It's cold feeling. It's really fun to walk in. See all this water out here? It's only a couple inches of it. This lake is about 500 acres, it says online. I don't know if any fish actually live in it since it appears to completely dry up. But see, it does go and go. So I do believe it probably is 500 acres. It just doesn't seem very big in a place with no trees. There's not much to base size comparison off of. So this is Grant Lake. I'll show the other lake in a little while when I go over there to wash my feet off. This is very hard to get off, this material. But it's not very sticky. And it's really cool feeling. You stand on it and you slowly sink a little bit and it stops. And now as I get further and further, it's slowly getting more rocky. I'd consider this like a super fine silt, like a super fine sand, not exactly mud. Now as I keep walking, it's becoming more rocky. And this side of it, it's like gravel. And some of these rocks feel as if they went through a rock polisher. Certain ones are perfectly smooth. Some very interesting rocks. You see what they're covered in? It's salt. This is not a saltwater lake. Taste the water, it's not salty. It says online it's just an alkaline lake. It does have trace amounts of salt, but it's not salt water. Especially when it was dried up, this whole thing was white. On the edges when I was getting in, you may have seen it was all white like over there. Pretty cool area. And now that I'm walking further out here, the mosquitoes aren't bothering me anymore at the moment. Look down, I don't see any on myself. A lot of cow pastures around here, so there's a lot of flies during the day. A month ago when I was here, there was fish flies everywhere, and they were actually kind of cool. There'd be swarms of tens of thousands of them. They don't bother you, but the buzzing sound was immense walking through them. And as you talk, their swarm reacts to your voice. It's kind of cool. Now you can definitely see up close here, like the salty residue. After tasting the water last time, I looked up, thinking maybe it was calcium, maybe it was sulfur. But it says online it's salt. It just doesn't taste like it. Kind of cool. It's so shallow. Maybe it'll be deeper over on this side. Just being careful where I walk. Don't want to get stuck somewhere. The water here is like bath water. It's super duper warm. It does get a little deeper over here. I see some water beetles. It's also starting to maybe sprinkle. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit. There's only a 3% chance of rain today, but it doesn't mean anything. So I'm walking with my feet perfectly flat. But if I curve my foot down, I'll sink all the way down if I'm at that angle. Yeah, over here it looks like I could cross only ankle deep water. Super dusty roads. This area does need the rain. I spent forever cleaning bugs off my windshield when we got here a day ago. This area I'm releasing stinky gases. Wonder how long my footprints will be here before they dissipate. Probably a good storm sloshing this around, or it filling back up. When it fills back up, it looks like it's got a small island there by only a few inches of elevation. There's lots of little beetles and these little white organisms moving away from me. And a golf ball. Now I'm getting back onto stable land. But stable land, how stable is it? You see right here, I'm walking. It's stable, but if I angle my feet down, I'll sink right into that. Look at that. Sink very deep, very quickly. It's kind of cool. The only thing I'd compare this to is the salt flats I was walking around in actually about 3 years ago in California. But those were very, very salty. That's where I made that video. It blew my hat off. You could see my hat blowing away. Just kept going and going. There was no chance of ever getting it because you could probably look. It was probably a 50-mile stretch of nothing but dried up salt pond. Just looking at the birds down here. Oh, they all flew away as soon as I zoomed in on them. They're just picking little bugs out of the mud. Let's go see what looks like a little island here. Now remembering earlier when I was out here, I heard a little squeaking sound, and out comes a garter snake with a little mouse in its mouth. It held it for like 10 minutes until it was dead, and you could hear in the bushes Mama Mouse wanted to save it, but it couldn't. That's nature. The garter snakes here are different than the ones in my area. These ones have, yes, the yellow stripes, but also a orange, bright orange stripe on the very top. And as I'm walking here, there are dozens of these spiders all over the place. It's very crunchy right here. Very dry feeling walking through this. But now it's time to venture back across and get my Crocs, and we'll go take a look at the bigger lake, which is very cool. About a month ago, the water was a bit cleaner, but because it's the same kind of silty lake, it'll be murky if there's any waves. But then it clears up if it's still. But when it clears up, there's lots and lots of algae, stringy algae. And you look out there, just these big clumps of algae with a string anchoring them down. Yesterday, when we arrived at this other lake I'm gonna go show you, it's very murky looking, as if it had an algae bloom, but not like a toxic algae bloom that tints the water a color, just lots of particles of algae throughout it. It's pretty interesting. But as soon as it got wavy, it broke up most of that. But after seeing all the little teeny organisms in the water, I didn't put my head under the water, but I did walk around for a while. It was cool seeing the loons. And look at my tracks going in. Look at my tracks I left in the shallow water. So that's where I gotta get back to. I see tracks from ducks, geese. It's amazing how different a place can be from one month to another. I didn't look at this last month, but it was completely dried up driving by it. Now it's got a few inches of water. Last time there was so many seagulls. We didn't see many this time. It was literally hundreds last time. This time only saw a couple. But I love checking out these areas because it's a complete different world from where I live. I will probably go swimming again today, especially now that the air is getting cooler. The water will feel amazing. It was in the 90s a couple days ago here, and now it's only getting to about 80. So that would have been a couple days ago in the lower 30s Celsius, or today in the mid 20s. Feels really cool. It also uses a lot of energy walking through this. It's a good workout. Now this area, there's absolutely no mud. I mean, no rocks in the mud. This feels really cool. Look at that. Only some of my footprints from earlier filled, while other ones are completely empty. And there's nowhere really good to wash off until I get to the other lake, which is about a 10-minute walk away. And there was so much slime and seaweed the other day, it's hard to get them out. Ooh, hard to get them out of there. Guess I gotta, I might just carry them until I get to the edge. Might have to just carry them. Look how sticky that is. Let's see. This stuff, when it dries on me in just a 10-minute walk, it'll be hard to get off. Okay, let's see if I can get out of here. It'll get easier as I get towards the edge. But now that mud inside my shoe is super slippery. I won't even be able to get up the slightest incline back to that road, and even walking on flat land is super slippery until I can wash this off. And I know as soon as I get back in the grass here, I'm gonna be attacked by mosquitoes again. I just wanted to show this mostly dried up lake bed. By looking at it, it looks like even when it's considered full capacity, probably only a foot deep, but it is considered an actual lake. Pretty cool. Because it dries up, I don't think anything really lives in it other than water beetles, insect larvae. I don't think there's any kind of fish, unless some kind of fish that can burrow into mud. I don't know if that lives around here. Also gotta be careful. There could be rattlesnakes. It's unlikely to see them, but I'm just gonna go slowly. Looks like at certain times the water will get up here, and that would make it maybe waist deep out there. If it was up here, that'd probably be as warm as bath water. So shallow, sitting in the sun. But compared to where we came from, British Columbia, this area is a relief from the heat. British Columbia has some of the most extreme hills. And my truck, it's the first time I've ever seen the temperature gauge get somewhere it's not supposed to be. Had to crawl up those hills, crawl down those hills with low gear. Some of the worst hills I've ever seen in BC, especially on the Crow's Nest Highway. The Coca Hollow was pretty bad, but I think the Crow's Nest, in my opinion, is more extreme. Thankfully, no one uses the Crow's Nest. It's a very secluded highway. Not much traffic on it. The Coca Hollow was filled with so many cars that are very impatient, which makes that road extremely annoying to drive, in my opinion. Now we're just cutting through this farm field. There's no fence or anything. I could have cut up there to the road, it's a lot closer. This is the campground that we're staying at. It's $20 a night, additional $5 for the beach. We like it the best, even though it's the cheapest campground on our whole trip. The most expensive we paid for a night for a campground was $50, and we honestly thought it was one of the worst. It wasn't very clean. This place has clean showers. Oh, the mosquitoes are starting to get me again. Yes, I gotta be careful in these fields. Everywhere there's holes made by prairie dogs. Last time the prairie dogs were very active. This time we don't see them anywhere. We see their holes, they look like they've been freshly digging, but we just don't see them. And there's another mosquito. Alright, I'll show you the other lake in a moment. This is the challenge I was telling you about. Wow, oh my gosh, I'm slipping right out of them. Oh, I gotta get down on my knees to try to crawl up here. Yeah, that's super slippery mud. It's probably gonna feel really, really humid now that it's starting to sprinkle. Mosquitoes are gonna love this. Gotta put insect spray on until I get down to the next beach. Alright, it's starting to get the windiest of the days in here, Prairie Dog Hole. There's random holes you can twist your ankle in everywhere. But they're really cool when they come up. Yeah, it's super wavy. That means it'll be kind of fun in there. Down there is very, very slimy. I probably should have showed it yesterday because it's not going to be slimy anymore. The waves are going to throw it all up. There was a sludgy area. You'd be up to your knees in really thick slime that just got concentrated over there. It was really cool yesterday. But there's some of the most interesting rocks on the edge of this beach. And really nice sand. There's also lots and lots of bumblebees' nests in these trees, or I should say in the ground under these trees. You could hear them, lots and lots of buzzing coming and going. And I looked in there and found the hole. Now bumblebees, they're a friendly, gentle kind of bee. They're not like a yellow jacket. They're not going to sting you just by being near their hive. I've been near their hives before, and the most I ever got was a bite, not a sting, just as a warning. But if you step on them, I'm not sure what they'll do if you step over the hole. Here's these really cool rocks. Goes for quite a while. Then there's much bigger rocks down there on that peninsula. Pretty interesting, especially when they're wet, especially for the rock tumbler. Then it's nice beach sand, smaller rocks, layer of bigger rocks. And out here it's just sand. You go out there you walk out like a couple 100 feet because it's super duper shallow like the other one. Then it feels like peanut butter, like what I was just walking in. See, it's dried. It actually takes a lot of scrubbing to get off. But I'm gonna go swimming and that should take care of most of it. The waves make this place interesting. And you see what's concentrated in these clumps. Yesterday I was just an even layer right here. There was little islands of it all over the place because you could tell the air was still. It had to have been still for a week or more to have the stringy algae anchored to the ground, but now it's all up on the side. I wish I would have showed it yesterday. There was also a concentration down there, thick slime. It was out to your knees, super thick. It felt like mud and it smelled extremely horrible. I also found a tire in here. I rolled it out. It had what looked like a bunch of little shrimps on it. It also had a bunch of little organisms. And this water, when it was clearer, when it was still, you'd see all kinds of life in there. Would have been cool to put something like this under a microscope. And when this was thick seaweed, I was out there. I walked back really fast, and a fish, got up on top of it and was flipping around, but it got away before I could grab it. But yeah, you can walk out there up to your waist, hundreds of feet, and I probably walked half a mile where I couldn't even see certain objects here at the beach. I was so far out there, up to my neck. I just kept walking and walking. I couldn't find an area where I couldn't feel the bottom. I just walked and walked and walked. Maximum depth of this is 12 feet. But 12 feet, is that from this level or when it gets up to its maximum line? It says online this lake varies, but it's the same exact water depth as it seemed to have been a month ago. But it's a really cool place. Cool place on our journeys. There's a boat ramp over there. According to the internet, this lake doesn't have one, but the campground does indeed have one made of concrete. But yesterday, I was out there half a mile. You could hear people's conversations on the beach who weren't even talking that hard. When this wasn't wavy, completely mirror-like, you could hear everything amplified from different areas. That was also super duper cool. Oh, I see a dog running to the dock. It's under the dock, a dog. And there's lots of farm fields. Actually, nothing but farm fields for hours in every single direction. The US border is only about a half an hour away or so. At least that's how it looks on the map. This will be about a 3-day drive back. It says on the map about 27 hours home. So 27 hours, depending on the time of day, that'll change. I could probably pull that off in 2 days, but I'm gonna make it 3 days. If I see anything interesting, I'll add it. If this gets still again in the evening, I'll add it. I've walked down quite a distance. Over here, you can see how thick it is. It's not as thick as what we're gonna see, or as thick as the concentration yesterday before the wave started. Down here by these trees is the super thick area. It'll be like this, but everywhere, not just little clumps. So right now it is the middle of August, but this place was more exciting to me in the middle of July. It just seemed more interesting as far as it was a bit cleaner, the body of water. But for all I know, it could have been the same. So yesterday when it was perfectly still like that, there was lots of floating duck poop and stuff out there. But now that the waves started turning everything, I just went out there and I didn't notice a single thing. Just agitated it all into the water. And there's also ladybugs everywhere. Huge amount of them all over this. I'm wondering if they're just here or if the waves actually saved them, because they were all floating in the still water yesterday. Still alive. Most of them. I'm seeing what looks like deer tracks going down the edge. Actually, the night before coming here, we actually just pulled into a gas station, slept, and left after a few hours because there were so many deer on the road. Oh my gosh, there they are. Look at that. They're in what we're gonna go visit. I took a still picture, but it's not the clearest. If I was using my newer camera, it would have been more clear. Because my newer camera, if you're zoomed in like that, you take a picture, but AI can correct it a little bit before it saves it to make it a little bit more clear. Alright, this area is starting to get a little, yeah, this feels interesting. It's very airy, it's softer than you would think it is. Yep, now there's multiple sets of deer tracks. Are they friendly deer? Because they're actually walking this way. Or are they going to run up into the field? Yeah, they're running up into the field. Yeah, we're not going to see them. They're hundreds of feet away and they'll be completely gone by the time I get there. Look at this up close. That looks pretty cool. This is actually very interesting to walk through. Now this area didn't change much. Yesterday, the whole beach was like that, all the way down there. The waves kind of got rid of it, and this is what I was talking about. See how that's floating out there? That stringy algae is actually anchored down to the ground. I think the deer were eating it. We're gonna go investigate. And a lot of these rocks, without even being wet or shiny, the constant silt splashing over them is like a rock polisher. And look up here, a lot more rocks up here, some of which are very interesting if you get down and look at them. I think we just ran into a patch of poison ivy up here. Okay, let me get back down there. This grass is also really cool looking. Look how soft and feathery that is. I like that. There's some areas where you can tell there's shallow lakes that just dried up. It's nothing but that, a solid maybe 100 acres of just that grass that looks so soft. If you see grass out there, you know it's very, very shallow, this area. Let's go see some of the sludge. Oh wow, yeah, this is only just up to my ankles. This area feels like bath water. I don't know where they went. There was a lot of ducks and loons around yesterday. Yesterday the water was actually crystal clear when the wind was still. I do recall back in July when I was here, there was a couple swans. The most wild swans I've ever seen is in Ontario, on one of the Great Lakes. There was hundreds and hundreds of swans, all in the same spot. It was pretty cool. Yeah, this feels like bath water. It doesn't appear like it's a toxic algae bloom. It's not the right type of algae. But when it's warm like this and there's lots of duck poop, it's not something I'd want to be exactly diving into. So overall there's more algae than a month ago, but less concentrated. Like when I was just walking through there, you get to see exactly what I was talking about. But at this thickness, it was up to my knees about a month ago. Like this was completely solid all the way down up to my knees. It's interesting how a place changes throughout the seasons. I just wanted to show these places because it looks totally different than my area. Overall, the west coast up north, the trees and everything, you've got a few different species, but it really doesn't look too different than my area. The upper west coast, especially inland. The coast is massive trees, which are really interesting to see. I came out here to do a few interesting camping videos in different spots, like the grasslands you're allowed to park or you're allowed to camp in. Did some camping, just random wilderness areas. Did one in the middle of a burnt forest, on an island, in the middle of a river. Did one on top of a mountain when we were still in the northern section of Yukon, which is really far north. Got to explore some abandoned buildings in BC and Alaska. That was pretty cool. So many abandoned buildings in the middle of nowhere. That was fun. But I'm going to end this video here, everyone. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.